connection and opportunity. All in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. Fight for life. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905.
They discovered it, they read it, and they applied it. It's the golden thread that connects the titans of the self-development industry, the source that spawned millions of millionaires, the original blueprint to success.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. A classic.
And I love Think and Grow Rich. I love it. It's right here. I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
This material is what changed my life. This is the material I study every day. From being an immigrant woman, coming from poverty, and really coming to America and literally achieving the American dream. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this man, for what he did for me and my family.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
People don't realize is that when we let our ego get in our way, ego is the loss, the fear of loss. So need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be hurt, fearful. When that trajectory changes, what happens is you continually go the wrong way. So my job as a coach is to say, let's get into the enjoyment of the direct pursuit of my potential. Right? And so when the light went on, it was not about the potential of making money and being an entrepreneur, which is one of my specialties. And I said to him, look, this is an opportunity now to show how great you really are. We can't let the outside voices, right, determine our success. The happiness that we have comes within. Why are you going to give that control to somebody else?
Thoughts become things. And I always wonder, why did no one teach us this? Why did we not learn this in school? Why did we not learn this from our families? If you make your study a priority, your life will change.
And I came up with 4 really valuable things that I took stock in. And the first one was gratitude. Simple gratitude. Although I grew up with nothing, I was always grateful. Throughout the whole process of consistently, persistently pursuing my potential, I was grateful. It made my past better, my present brighter, and my future even brighter than that. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, change your employee's life, your family life, it's very simple. 2 words, say thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Napoleon Hill Weekly Training, Building Brand Identity More Important Than Ever. I have my co-host in Building Brand is Blaine Bartlett. A lot of B's today, blainebartlett.com. Moving possibilities into reality. Blaine, welcome to our Napoleon Hill Institute training.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be with you again. I love this week. I love this training. I love being able to be in harness with you around this.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, and I personally appreciate it. But I'm hoping that you'll have some extra time afterwards to take some Q&A after the training. Is that still available?
That's still available. Yep.
All right. Well, we're blessed to do that. I want to quickly go over a little logistics. We always want to invite, not obligate, our community. We'll be in Las Vegas for multitudes of things. We'll be at the SiriusXM studios filming. Come by for a meetup, holding court, VIP dinners for charity. We'll be at the NFL Players event for their wives. We also are doing a CEO Summit. So come and join us in Las Vegas. We'll be in Philly for the All-Star Game, New York for Fanatics Fest and the EO event there, SoFi Stadium Mastermind, Miami FC with Messi after party, not a Messi, but Messi. And then he'll be celebrating maybe a World Cup championship after their comeback yesterday. Then a private member, private investor mastermind in London with Sanjay Anduja, Kishore Lula, uh, Brian Rose, myself, Justin Guarini, Kim Walsh-Phillips. Come and join us in the UK. And then finishing up with the Ryder Cup of Wine, Marshall Falk, Virgil Herring, myself in Breckenridge, Colorado. That's how you get to 200 cities. There's meetups, holding courts, VIP dinners, interviews, speeches, mastermind, fireside chats. They're all there. Just be invited. As the jingle says, 949 is the area code, 298-2905. And of course, you can always email the beloved servant at beloved servant. David means beloved, at D is the first initial, Meltzer means servant. If you like the exercises, guides, the books, or replays from today, just email me, David at dmeltzer.com. All right, we're going to get started on an essential part of personal and professional life today, our brand building identity. Every day, we're building a brand, whether intentionally or unintentionally, as the drifters do out there. The strongest brands aren't remembered because they try to appeal to everyone. They're remembered because they consistently communicate who they are, what they stand for, and especially how they make people feel. Our brand isn't our logo, our website, our title, or our business. It's the emotional experience people associate with us. Think about brands like Nike, Apple, or Disney. Before we think about their product, services, or solution, we think about how they make us feel. The same principle applies to our personal and professional brands. People don't buy products, they buy identity, belonging, community, transformation, trust, and as Blaine teaches, possibilities into reality. The question isn't, what do we sell? It's, what transformation do we represent? In order to build a brand and a brand identity, we need to enjoy that consistent, persistent pursuit of our essence. The first lesson today that I want to discuss, which will be available at david@dmeltzer.com, is building a brand with purpose. Blaine, strong brands begin with clarity, focus, intention. When we know why we exist and who we serve, every decision becomes easier and is aligned with our essence, which the overused terms of authenticity is aligned with our essence. So many times different companies may offer the same service, but the one with a clear purpose and a mission creates the deeper loyalty and attracts better opportunities where people buy from them and sell for them for life. Purpose is foundation to self, foundation to brand. Everything else is built upon purpose. You always talk about for the sake of what, the purpose of what we're doing. Why is it applicable to your brand that it is a foundation the same as it is to self?
Otherwise, I mean, if it's not applicable to your brand, to how you go to market, you become a commodity. And when you become a commodity, you're interchangeable with anything else and everything else. So, when you and I first got together, 15 years ago or whatever it may have been, something like that, a long time ago, and we started collaborating on Compassionate Capitalism, a journey to the soul of business. That soul of the business is really what we're speaking about here when we're talking about brand with purpose. How do you articulate that purpose within the context of what makes you as an organization unique? And the way that I've defined, soul, it's the blueprint inside of everything that tells us what it is and what it can become. And if you can tap into that and actually, articulate that well, that literally becomes your brand identity. And you begin organizing everything around that. And that is a unique declaration of the value you bring to the marketplace, the possibility that you open up for people. And, you mentioned both Disney and Nike or Apple, take your pick here. They are unique organizations and they have a unique brand identity that is consistent with the soul of what makes them what they are. That's what we're looking to actually facilitate.
Gigi, is Blaine breaking up for you as he is for me? He's okay? It's on my side. Okay.
Okay.
Am I breaking up?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Yep, that's all right. We'll figure it out. You're breaking up for me, but we're both okay. And to that foundation, we also need to define who we serve. And so understanding it's the purpose that's tied to who we serve for the sake of who, for what, building messaging around purpose rather than products is a great way to create a foundation for building our brand. If anybody wants to learn about how to build a brand with purpose, how to use purpose as a foundation, get the exercises and guides, get the replay of lesson 1 or the whole lessons today. David means beloved, @D, first initial. Meltzer means servant. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com. The next lesson, discover our dominant archetype. Lesson number 2. People connect with personalities, not business. They connect with cultures, not corporations. Archetypes help us communicate with consistency while creating emotional connection, trust, and culture. So many leadership coaches may naturally communicate as a hero, while an educator may lead as a sage. Neither's better. They simply attract different audiences and teach different methodologies, modalities, and lessons. Our archetype isn't about changing who we are. It's about amplifying who we already are. This, Blaine, is aligned with the greatest lesson of the 3 letters that confuse the multitudes. The 3 letters are I-A-M. I am. I am is the architect, and understanding I am in its simplicity and complexity is so important in discovering who I am or discovering our archetype. What should we be taking inventory of to discover our dominant archetype that can help build our personal and professional brands?
That's a great question, and it's one that comes up pretty frequently in some of the work I do with the leaders that I work with. What I've landed on, it's something that Buckminster Fuller started articulating years ago, and he saw himself as a verb, not a noun. And when you can begin to think of yourself, as a verb, there's action in verb. Noun is static, but the verb describes that brand promise in a very interesting way. So it becomes literally the doorway to the archetype. So when I started playing with this, years and years and years ago, I landed on a verb. I teach, therefore I am. And that opened up the door to, understanding a little bit about my archetype that I go to market with. The brand of Blaine Bartlett is not, the same as the brand of David Meltzer. There's a different verb that's in play. And the same can be applied to the organization. The company is a verb as well. And that verb, again, verbs are by definition action generators. So you land on the verb that best describes what it is that you intend to deliver. And that becomes the archetype for the company as well as for the individual leaders.
Yes, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I exist.
Yep.
And educatum ergo sum. I educate, therefore I exist. 2 different dominant archetypes to identify, reflecting our natural capabilities, our skills, our knowledge, our desire. And this allows us to consider how others already perceive us by paying attention to what people think, say, do, feel, and believe about us, picking out maybe some simple things for you to do that seem extraordinary to others. Let's build our messaging around that dominant identity instead of trying to appeal with everyone. If you want to learn how to discover your dominant archetype, blank ergo sum or sum, then email me, the dum dum, David at dmeltzer.com, David at dmeltzer.com. The third lesson in building brand identity is creating consistency in all the behaviors aligned with your divine direction. Create consistency in all the positive, aligned, divine, devotional behaviors, because recognition, acknowledgement, enlightenment come from repetition. The more consistently we communicate our values, our practices, our execution model, our voice, our message, the more rememberable, remindable, recollectible our brand becomes. The world's strongest brands that you see today on World Cup, for example, flashing on the screens, all the recognizable brands that you see there, the world's strongest brands rarely surprise us. They just keep reinforcing the same promise over and over again. It is consistency that creates credibility, and it's credibility that creates trust. And we talk about consistency a lot, and some people talk about creating consistency in everything that they do, think, feel, say, or believe. But I particularly believe we have to be a little bit more concise and definite in our purpose, and that we need to be consistent with the behaviors aligned in our divine direction. This credibility only works if we're consistent with the right behaviors, not everything we do.
Yep. That's where the values of the organization come into play. Quick little anecdote. When I was working with Nokia, the telephone group back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, I cannot recall a meeting that I was in where there were 4 or more people, and there was a decision to be made where the values, and there's 4 values, there's only 4 values, where the values of the company weren't brought to the table, and that decision was vetted through those 4 values. And they weren't looking for unanimous fit. They were looking to understand, how does this move that we're about to make, this decision we're about to make, impact who we say we are? Because values guide behavior. And it was that awareness that allowed for consistency in delivery. And that's what we need to be able to do. Otherwise, we start drifting. We do something that's expedient, that seems to make sense in the market context, but not necessarily in the alignment context. We want to consistently align who we are with the behavioral drivers, which are our values. That's the brand promise. You can count on us for this. And we're consistently, in a narrative sort of a way, communicating, this is real. This is real. You can count on it. It's authentic.
Yeah, and people love that consistency to rely upon, because any type of value based on certainty relieves us of our greatest emotional interference, which is uncertainty or fear, which creates more interference as well. And understanding our timing and risk tolerance, perceived value, and bottom line also delivers our strongest brands and reinforces the trust and credibility that come along with it. If you want to learn about that framework and those values that create consistency in the divine direction, email me, your beloved servant. David means beloved. At D is my first initial. Meltzer means servant. David at dmeltzer.com. By the way, me repeating my email is exemplary of building brand identity as a beloved servant. It's just within what I do within this context and this training, but email me to learn more about it. Blaine, lesson number 4, lead with emotional connection. People buy on emotion for logical reasons. Facts inform us, but emotions inspire action. People remember, remind, and recollect how we make them feel long after they've forgotten what we've said. A keynote speaker, many may share the same business strategies as others. In fact, the same business strategies that has been taught for hundreds of years. But the one who creates inspiration, confidence, and hope will be the one who is unforgettable. Emotional connection, the emotional attachment, the emotional value is the bridge between what we pay attention to, what we give intention to, and the loyalty to buy from us and sell for us for life. Emotional connection goes both ways because it can work for us or against us. Blaine, how do we make sure that that emotional connection is working for us, not against us?
Two things come to mind immediately on this. One is, and it's something that I work with my clients on all the time, how do people feel about themselves when they're in your presence? How do they feel about themselves? Do they feel empowered? Do they feel uplifted? Do they feel, inspired? The company delivers a product or a service. How do people feel about themselves when they're in their presence of your product or service? Steve Jobs was masterful with this at Apple. That customer experience was always in the forefront of every decision that they were making. And just to kind of practicalize this, if that's a word, net promoter scores. You get an NPS structure in place, and all of a sudden you're actually measuring how effective your messaging is being. And I say your messaging, your brand promise being delivered. Net promoter scores. Do people actually promote your brand? Do they become brand ambassadors because they feel good about themselves in the presence of your product or service? They feel uplifted. They feel like a possibility can be realized. That's where the magic is. It's an emotional connection.
Beautiful. If you would like to learn more about why people buy an emotion for logical reasons, how to connect with people emotionally for those logical reasons, email me, david@dmeltzer.com. You also can get the replay of this entire training, including the bonus section with Blaine Bartlett, his Q&A of the day, the Ask Me Anything session following these lessons. Lesson number 5, attract the right people by being at your essence. And we talk about the essence, the frequency, the vibration that creates authenticity. Being authentic to your brand does not mean you are at your essence. It just means that you are consistent in portraying the values of what you deliver. I believe it goes beyond that. When you attract the right people, you need to be at your essence, your frequency, because a strong brand doesn't just try to attract everyone. It attracts the right people while naturally filtering out the wrong ones. I had a client of mine, a billionaire, who hired me to, initially he wanted 1 million followers. I said, that's easy. You can buy 1 million followers like so many of these guys did out there. But I want you to think about, you do not want 1 million followers. You want to attract the right people. Come back to me and tell me who those people are and how many you really want to attract. And he came back to me and said, you're right. I don't want 1 million followers. I want to find 7 of the right people. Why is that? Well, because he had 7 $5 million villas to sell in Exuma. And he figured out that finding the right people would move the needle for him. So many brands like Harley Davidson, we mentioned Disney earlier, they serve different audiences, but yet both have extraordinary loyalty because they remain at their essence. Mm-hmm. They remain not just authentic, but authentic to their identities. And this alignment of trying to please who you need or want or align to please instead of everyone strengthens your influence, not weakens it. So many companies and people try to please everyone and they end up pleasing no one. Blaine, what can we do to help facilitate, to make easy understanding that What other people think, know, do, say is none of our business. We got to remain at our essence and stay authentic to our identity.
Well, it starts with what's that unique blueprint that wants to be expressed. That unique blueprint isn't going to be attractive to everybody or even every market sector. So it's going to be difficult for me to identify the who unless I'm clear about the what. So I need to be very clear about the what are we? What is it that is trying to be expressed here? And then here's where people get tripped up, I think, so frequently is they immediately go from, I think I've got this what figured out. Now, how do I do this? The how is way down the line. The next question is, who is the best fit for the what that we're offering? That's the sequencing question. What's the unique blueprint that we're bringing to market? Who is the best fit? Then we can begin exploring the how. But don't get the how in front of the horse in front of the cart here. This is kind of the old euphemism.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of the 5 daily practices, knowing your
Yeah.
what you want in your divine direction, aligning the meaning of the past. Who can I help and who can help me? Then how? How can I utilize the 24 hours today in doing, saying, thinking, feeling, and believing? In other words, with definiteness of purpose, not drifting in the 24 hours every single day, including my sleep, but instead living on purpose, with purpose, for the sake of purpose as itself. And the laws of attraction apply. And just remember, everybody, that when you're at your essence, when you're authentic to your identity, 10% or approximately, because everybody knows 99% of all statistics are made up, but about 10% of the people will hate you no matter what. 10% will love you no matter what if you're at your essence. And through consistent behavior, you'll start attracting more of the 80% that may not get you or are aware of you the first time around. And so understanding this equation of adaptation and adoption, understanding that clarity, harmony attracts alignment through the what, the who, the how to create the now, moving possibilities into reality, and then applying our why by being at our essence, authentic to our identity. If you would like the 5 daily practices, if you would like to learn about the right way to attract people, places, things, events, and circumstances with your essence, what authenticity of identity is, just email me, David@dmeltzer.com. David means beloved. At D is my first initial. Meltzer means servant. Let me be your beloved servant. David@dmeltzer.com. The final lesson for today, Blaine, is align our brand again. The meaning of our past, align it with the meaning of our past, align it with the thoughts, perception, intention, and behaviors. Align our brand, in other words, with who we really are, with the educator ergo sum, the cogito ergo sum of I am, and therefore this must exist. The most influential people, places, things, circumstances, events, the most influential brands are built through the alignment of the past with the divine direction in the future, tied into our purpose, our values, our messaging, and our intentions, what we do, say, think, feel, and believe. As long as it tells the same story, then trust will naturally flow. Every piece of content, in person, on the phone, via email, and social media, reinforces the values that we stand for. Our brand isn't something we create, it's something we consistently become. This idea of alignment of the past, the present, and the future, of our thoughts, our perceptions, our meaning, our intention, and our behaviors are absent of results. Why is it that when we aligned our brand with who we are, we don't have to worry about results?
Here's a way to think about this. It's almost in the form of a koan, Japanese koan, Zen koan. I wash the dishes because I wash the dishes. I get clean dishes as a result of that, but I wash the dishes because I wash the dishes. So we can decipher that a bit. Uh, the alignment, I pay attention to what I pay attention to because I pay attention to it. It's now just a part of who we are. It's what we organize around. It has been such, we've so consistently reinforced it internally that we can't not pay attention to this. This is why the power of that verb notion comes into play here. Yeah, I wash the dishes because I wash the dishes. I get clean dishes as a result. I do, I do leadership in a certain way because I do leadership in a certain way. I go to market in a certain way with a promise because I go to market in a certain way with a promise. The net result is whatever that is going to be in clean dishes, metaphorically. So that's essentially what we're working with, and we need to be able to find a way to audit that. Because we get inside and we're in a little bubble here. Is it showing up in the way we think it is? I mean, Jeff Bezos said, your brand is what people say about you after you've left the room. So I want to listen to what people are saying,
Yeah.
and just check it every now and then.
It's so true and so good to align our brand with who we are. And, the result side of it, it's so interesting, quitting smoking, right? So many people, their thoughts, believe, I need to quit smoking, but they want the result instead of saying, if I never put a cigarette in my mouth, I never put a cigarette in my mouth. The results are I quit smoking. And it's quite simple. And the wisdom that lies in simplicity is perfect when we align our brand as a non smoker, for example, with who we are by aligning our past, mistakes, setbacks, failures, defining moments, historical relevances with our behaviors. That will provide the divine direction, and the results will come naturally with no attachment. If you would like the guides from the alignment of our brand with who we are, if you would like to learn about the continuum from the past, present, and the future, aligning the meaning of the past, expanding our self image, all the things that come along with it, email the beloved servant, David at, pin right there, David at dmeltzer.com. In conclusion, the brands that leave a lasting impact aren't the loudest.
Right.
They're the clearest. They're the highest of frequency. The influence grows when people know exactly who we are, what we do, what we say, what we think, what we feel, what we believe, and how we help them become better. Every reminder of a collectible and rememberable brand, from global companies to trusted leaders, has earned the acknowledgement and recognition through consistent essence and emotional connection. Remember that people don't remember. Remember that people don't remember anything we say. Remember, they remember the identity we consistently represent for the sake of making them feel the real you, the real you that you're becoming. If you want to learn more about building brand identity, if you'd like the replay of this training, if you like the guides, the exercises, my book, Let Me Be Your Beloved Servant. David means beloved. At D is my first initial. Meltzer means servant. Email me, David at dmeltzer.com. I want to thank everybody for joining us every Wednesday, watching the replays, and asking the questions and participating in this. Now I'm blessed to leave it to my mentor, coach, and teacher, the world business consultant himself. A greater mindset, heart set, and handset is available to you. Stay on and ask questions of Blaine Bartlett, or email him, blainebartlett.com. He'll move your possibilities into reality. Blaine Bartlett, God bless you, and thank you for staying on and helping our community.
Absolutely. My pleasure always. I look forward to this every week. I'll see you later. There we go. Got the mic on. There we go.
It's great to see you. Want to thank you, Blaine, and of course David, for an incredible first half of today's Napoleon Hill Institute training, building brand identity. And so, for all of our friends joining us, whether it's on the multicast webinar on all platforms, or whether it's here in the Breakfast with Champions, the greatest room and community on Clubhouse, it is now time for the extra bonus, which is the Q&A Ask Me Anything session with the double B. That is Blaine Bartlett. Of course, you can reach him, blainebartlett.com. For all of our friends that are on the webinar, if you have your questions for Blaine today, go ahead and put those in the room chat. And for all of our friends in the Breakfast with Champions, if you guys are in the audience and have a question for Blaine today, please use the hand icon in the left-hand corner of your screen to request to join the stage. And of course, we will bring you up. And if you are already on stage in the Breakfast with Champions, go ahead and put a quick note in the room chat, and I will be happy to pass the mic over your way. Now, without further ado, for the first question of the day, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Brian Swift. Brian, it is great to see you here, my friend. I don't know if you've met the double B, that's Blaine Bartlett, quite yet, but Brian is one of the greatest community members we have here in the Breakfast with Champions, and he soars extremely high, pun intended, as he has a 501c3 nonprofit, which is SOAR. But without further ado, Mr. Swift, take it over, my friend. The floor is yours. Kick us off with the first question.
Thank you, Nick. You know what? I'll give you 10 minutes to stop talking about me.
I love you, and you know it.
Me too. I love all you gentlemen and ladies. So, Blaine, I appreciate your opportunity. I loved what you talked about and your wisdom. So the question would be, one, how important is it to have a logo that talks about that is your brand, or represents your brand? And do you find it more important to just use your name as your brand versus some logo or some little saying? What's your thoughts on that?
The logo is obviously it's a visual shortcut, I guess, to a brand identity. Logos in and of themselves don't work unless there's a narrative or a story that's associated with them. So, yeah, if the logo can communicate in some way the narrative that your brand represents, you're probably going to be pretty good. I think, Apple is a great example of that. I think, the apple with the bite taken out of it, which represents, the knowledge that was present in the Garden of Eden, that sort of thing. The Nike swoosh, the swoosh in and of itself,
Sure,
absolutely meaningless. But when you couple it with a narrative and the story that Nike talks to, just do it. That swoosh all of a sudden starts to have some cachet by itself, and it becomes recognizable as the brand. Now, with a 501c3, there's a story and a narrative that you're trying to bring to the market, I'm assuming, and there may or may not be a brand symbol that can capture that story or narrative in a shorthand sort of a way, so that when people see it, they go, "Oh, that's who that is." Not what that is, but who that is. So the brand logo translates into a who, not a what.
awesome, thank you. And I guess the next part of that would be, so my 501c3 nonprofit is called SOAR, which is an acronym for Swift Outdoor Accessible Recreation, and I think we have a good logo. The brand, and tell me, what I could do to make sure if there's things I got to do that they don't get mixed up or crossed over. My brand is, I'm the Quad Father.
The Quad Father. I like that. I
So
like that.
I'm kind of pushing two brands in two totally different directions.
Yeah.
As a Quad Father, I'm a keynote speaker, an author, and a coach. The other part of that is running a nonprofit to help people get back outdoors and do the things they love before they became injured.
Yeah. So you're probably going to want to keep them separate, particularly if SOAR is relatively new, because a confused mind doesn't act. A confused mind becomes paralyzed. So And again, it kind of goes, you lean back into the who is it that we're trying to target here. And from the point of view of you as a archetype, your brand as an archetype, what's that archetype that you're actually tapping into?
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, David, Nick, Gigi, and your whole team. Blaine, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to hearing your advice further. So thank you for the time.
Thank you for the question, Brian. I appreciate it.
We love you, Mr. Swift, and I will be giving you a call here shortly so we can catch up. So I appreciate you and the way that you show up for our community, as well as the double B, that is Blaine Bartlett. Of course, you can reach him at blainebartlett.com. And for our next question of the day, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to another fresh face for you, Mr. Blaine, who is Jared Walsh. Jared, it's great to see you, my brother. Thank you so much for being here. And what question do you have for Blaine today?
Hey, Nick, thank you so much. Blaine, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jared. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much. My question today is about maybe building some sort of stability before building a personal brand. In your opinion, what is the intention that should exist before anyone even thinks about building a personal brand?
Oh, I'm just going to back up the truck just a little bit on this, Jared. You're already building a personal brand. Now, the question you're actually posing here is, what do I need to be paying attention to before I intentionally start working with that brand? Because you have a brand already. People in your sphere of influence, when the name Jared comes up, there's a story associated with Jared that gets in the room before Jared does. And that story is what it is that literally is your brand, that story. To the degree that that story serves you, you can begin to leverage it. To the degree that it doesn't, you start exploring, or am I missing the mark? What's missing? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to add into it? That sort of stuff. But just recognize that you are already a brand. And that next step is that self-examination. Is the story of Jared serving where it is that you'd like to go and how it is that you'd like to be positioned in people's minds?
Thank you very much, Blaine. That's really eye-opening.
You betcha.
Beautiful. And for our next question of the day, I'm going to pass it over to Big Des. We got Desmond in the house. Desmond, my friend, happy Wednesday. Great to see you here. I know you know the double B, so I will leave it to you to keep us rolling with the next question.
Hey, Blaine.
Hey, Desmond.
This is such a good training. Honestly, this is really helpful for me because I have sort of a small side hustle business that I've been doing for about 2 years now. And so I've been really trying to build like a personal brand, whether that's business cards or advertisement. But my question is, if there's one thing that someone could remember about your brand, what's like the most important factor that it should be?
I think I'll go back to the emotional content. The most important thing that people can remember is how it made them feel when they were touching it, when they were in the presence of it. People remember how they felt more than they've ever remembered what was said to them. So you're always looking for that emotional connection. So to the degree that you can engineer that, you're going to be golden in a very specific way. Because people will walk away with a memory, an emotional memory that they can organize around.
Okay. So just building that emotional connection from your business to
Yeah.
the customer.
Yeah. And again, I kind of go back to what I said, when David and I were talking. How do people feel? And you can literally design this. How do people feel about themselves when they're in the presence of your product or service? And an example of that for me, when Apple introduced the iPhone, I was doing a lot of work with Nokia at the time, and I'd been working. I ended up working with them for about 12 years as an external consultant and led their leadership development initiatives all over the world for many years. I remember the first time that I came home from a trip, and on the porch, UPS had delivered a package, and I opened the package up, and it was an iPhone. It was the very first iPhone. And what I remember was being literally stopped in my tracks about the packaging, not the UPS packaging, but the actual iPhone box. I've still got the box of that very first iPhone because it was so exquisitely put together. Yeah, there was a promise in the packaging that I still remember today. There was a promise in the packaging about the qualitative experience I was likely to have as a consequence of opening this thing up and activating this piece of plastic. And it's that emotional dynamic. Yeah, and that was not an afterthought. There was as much detail positioned and thought about in the packaging as there was in the design of the actual phone itself.
Okay, thank you. That's such a big help for me. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Blaine, I'm not only learning as everybody else is here, but one of my great takeaways so far is I did not realize from a branding perspective how big of a fan you were about Apple, because my favorite thing about them, and part of what makes them one of my favorite companies in the world, is specifically the experience of their packaging. And I think it's even a testament as well, if you don't mind me chime in even briefly.
Absolutely.
It's also, excuse me, can you still hear me, Blaine?
Yeah, yep, you're here.
Cool. I was going to say, so another experience when we talk about branding is I always use the testament of the Apple Store. It's one of the cleanest stores you've ever seen, and their systems and processes are so well developed that if you simply surrender to and adhere to the system, your process and experience there is going to be fantastic. Sure, you may have to wait a few minutes than you may like. That's life. But if you actually adhere to it, it's going to give you one of the best experiences any technology company can provide. And that leads me to a question for you. As we're talking about so many different areas of branding, and whether it's getting started or whether it's acknowledging the fact that we are already building our own brand, I want to understand your perspective as it pertains to rebranding. We'll see various different companies, whether it's a product, service, or solution, hit a point where they consider rebranding. So through your experience working with some of the biggest brands in the world and executives, what have you learned about that rebranding experience that you may be able to share with us, especially pertaining to when it's the right time or not, or if it's the right decision or not?
Great question, Nick. That rebranding piece, it'll run down two tracks. One is an authentic rebranding move based on, because we're always in the process of becoming, just kind of, and this is true for organizations as well. If we're not becoming something, we're going to actually be collapsing and dying. So that becoming is aspirational. So the rebranding move from that perspective is one of, clarification about the nature of this new entity, quote unquote new entity. It's the same entity, but it now has a different look, feel. It has a different focus, but the brand promise is the same. It may have a different product segmentation that it's bringing to the market, that sort of thing, but the promise remains the same. The other side of that is just a rebranding for cosmetic purposes. And because the latest demographic information or the latest Gallup survey said we need to have a different color in our logo, or we need to what was the there's a big brand debacle just not too long ago. I forget the name of the company. It was a food company. You may be
I'm thinking, are you thinking like fast food chain or like big brand food, like a Yum Brands, for example?
Not a Yum Brands. No, it was a chain of stores. I can't. Anyway, they basically just succumb to social media pressure. You need to do. You got to change your logo because, and it's and you change your logo, you change your brand promise through that logo. If you've done your logo well and it's identifiable. So a purely cosmetic shift is not going to serve you well because it's not authentic. It's not authentic. If Nokia comes to mind here for me again, Nick. a lot of people didn't know this and probably still don't. Nokia is over 100, it's about 170 years old now as a company, something like that. It's pretty close to that. It started out as a timber company, and then it migrated into all kinds of different things. When I first began working with Nokia back in 1994, they were selling rubber boots, they were selling tires, they were selling television sets, they were selling farm implements, they were selling cable, big wire cable, that kind of. They were a conglomerate, and they have crashed and burned about 17 times. So they're like the phoenix; they keep arising. But one thing that has been consistent is the brand promise. You can count on us, and I say you can count on us. Nokia is a Finnish company, and it was owned primarily by pension funds at that point in time. So the "you can count on us" promise was really relevant. And so when they rebranded themselves as in the telecom space, we're becoming a pure telephony play here. Inherent in that promise was "you can count on us." And the Nokia brand literally represented that, and it became something that was ubiquitous around the world. Connect, and their tagline, connecting people. Nokia, connecting people. You can count on that. And they made it easy. They become the number one seller of telephone handsets in the world. They were the number one seller of cameras in the world because the cameras were embedded in the phones. But the brand promise, connecting people, that was what made them unique in that space. And it wasn't, the words, connecting people. It was the way they went about it.
Extremely insightful. Thank you so much, Blaine. And just as a quick reset here with the final 11 minutes of today's Napoleon Hill Institute training, building brand identity is our theme and topic of the day. We are wrapping up in the fourth quarter of what is the Q&A session with Mr. Blaine Bartlett, the Double B. You can, of course, reach him at blainebartlett.com. As a reminder to everybody, if you're on Clubhouse, all you got to do is request to join the stage, or if you're on stage and have a question, just let me know and I will pass it over your way. Or of course, if you are on the webinar and have a question for Blaine as well, feel free to go ahead and put your question into the chat. Now, of course, Mr. Blaine, I have a fan favorite, both a personal favorite for you as well as a fan favorite for you, and that is Princess Ali. Princess Ali, it is great to see you back here in the Breakfast with Champions. Why don't you unmute yourself and keep us rolling?
Hi, Blaine.
Hey, Ali.
I love today's training, as always. Incredible.
Thank you. It's good to have you here again.
Today. Oh, you're so sweet. My question is around the difference between being authentic and being at your essence. So what has helped you recognize your own essence? And what would you encourage someone to focus on to get closer to theirs and really understanding and aligning that solid foundation before deciding what you want to build?
Multiple elements in that question. First of all, the authentic piece. Authentic is basically a way to describe my behaviors. So we'll just kind of use how do I present myself authentically? And the key there is, how do I present myself? The essence piece, all of us, I kind of go back to my definition of the soul. It's a blueprint inside of everything that tells it what it is and what it can become. So it's that blueprint that we look for, and it's always present. I'm not going to go find my purpose, as an example. I'm not going to go find my essence. It's already here. So what I want to be able to do is reduce the noise that surrounds it. And that noise typically are all of the shoulds that I've inherited from my family, from my church, from my political persuasions, from society in general, from fill in the blanks. We inherit a lot of shoulds. I'm supposed to be this way. I can't do that. I'm not supposed to do that. I should be this. I should say that. I shouldn't say that. All of those things are noise that drowns out that unique blueprint. So I need to find a way to actually become quiet enough so that in that silence, I can begin to get a glimpse of what that blueprint might be. And this is where the use of the word, of a verb starts to come into play. I start paying attention. When did I feel most alive? When did I feel most vibrant? When did I feel most creative? And it's not so much the event itself, but it's the experience of what was associated with that. I felt this when I was doing that, or when I was being that, more specifically, when I was being this way. This is when I was most alive. When I was being this way was when I was most creative. I was most in the moment when I was being this way. That begins to point to what's the verb that actually brings me into life. What's the verb that can catalyze that blueprint so that it can be expressed as fully as it can be expressed? So, I've developed a whole, structure around how you identify your verb and, all of that stuff. But the key here is taking the time to play with, verbs. Verbs are action oriented, and authenticity is a behavior. I want to couple my behavior with an authentic verb.
Wow, that was very insightful and very helpful for me. So I appreciate that, Blaine. Thank you.
You bet, Ali.
And Blaine, real quick, in terms of that framework of identifying our verb, where can people get in touch with you to empower themselves with such framework?
My email address is one way to get in touch with me. It's B Bartlett. There it is. Gigi's putting that up on the screen for those of you who are watching. It's B Bartlett at avatar-resources.com. That's my company, Avatar Resources. So B Bartlett at avatarresources.com. That's the direct DM. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and BlaineBartlett.com is a personal website. That's where a lot of my writings and my videos and all of that kind of stuff kind of reside. My books, I've got 6 books, and there's a book section in there. My podcast, The Soul of Business with Blaine Bartlett. So feel free to subscribe to that. I got stuff going up every week on that one too. So there's a lot of ways that you can get a hold of me.
I love it. And want to encourage everybody to make sure you reach out to the double B, that is Blaine Bartlett, to not only get the framework, but of course, in any other way that he can be of service to you. He is open-minded, open-hearted, and open-handed. And man, oh man, can he serve. Now, we've got about 6 minutes left here, which may be time for 2 questions, but it may end up only being 1. I'm going to pass it over to Mike, who is here on stage and who has been patiently waiting for the next question. Mike, it's great to see you here. Happy Wednesday. Unmute yourself and carry us on, my friend.
Hey, Mike. I can barely hear you, but it's good to have you here.
Got me?
There you go. Gotcha now.
Okay. Got it. Typical headphone issues. I love it. All right. Question regarding brand is Dave talks about essence, talks about frequency. How do you identify your own personal essence and or frequency, and how do you hang on to that frequency to share with others?
I'm going to go back to the answer that I gave to Ali. When I feel most alive, when I feel most creative, when I feel most inspired, when I feel most present, there's a frequency associated with that. And by frequency, I'm talking about there's an emotional content. There's a feeling structure that is coming into my awareness at that point in time, and that's what I want to begin to find ways to tap into more consistently. There is a frequency to that, and I can become familiar with that frequency. And the more familiar I become with it, the easier it is for me to reclaim it. Because stuff happens. We get busy out here, and it's easy for me to get pulled away, to drift away from what I said was important. I want to be able to recall what's the experience of that frequency so I can come back to it. And that's probably the easiest and shortest way that I can answer that question, Mike. Which is a great question, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you, Blaine. I appreciate that as always. Amazing.
You bet. Good to have you here, buddy.
Awesome. And we are going to go ahead and call this a Q&A session for today. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and remind everybody on where they can get in touch with us, where they can get invited but not obligated, and everything in between. But before I do so, Mr. Blaine, I know you mentioned your website and your email. If you wouldn't mind, of course, as all great leaders are, being repetitive and annoying, remind everybody where people can get in touch with you, and then I will go ahead and officially close out the session.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's B Bartlett, BBARTLETT, B Bartlett at Avatar, AVATAR hyphen resources.com. B Bartlett at avatarresources.com is the DM. And then the websites that are most accessible would be blainebartlett.com. And then LinkedIn is the most dominant social place that I'm on. But I've also, Facebook and Instagram are present as well. A little bit on TikTok, but mostly on LinkedIn. B Bartlett at avatarresources.com. blainebartlett.com is the personal website. And feel free to DM me. Let me know what you're thinking. If you've got the question, I'm usually pretty good at getting back to you within about 24 hours or so.
You are the man, Mr. Blaine, and we are all giving you a huge thank you, not only for being a part of these weekly Napoleon Hill Institute trainings, but of course for making the investment in our community by staying after hours for the Q&A and Ask Me Anything session. This is going to conclude today's NHI or Napoleon Hill Institute training. If anybody would like the guide and exercise from today's training, just as a reminder, all you need to do is email the beloved servant himself. That is David at dmeltzer.com. Once again, just David at dmeltzer.com. And of course, we are on tour to over 200 cities every single year. As we come into those cities, we add on what we call a car wash, which is the addition of a community meetup, holding court, or even one of our VIP dinners for charity. So come and join us as we are going to be in Viva Las Vegas this Friday and Saturday for the NBA Summer League, the NFL Wives event, and so much more. Adding on a car wash there in Vegas. Then it'll be off to New York City for Fanatics Fest 2026 with all the GOATs like LeBron James and Tom Brady and so many others. Adding on a car wash there in New York. Then it'll be back to Los Angeles, California, in the greatest stadium in the world, SoFi Stadium, for our July edition of our Mastermind series, plus car wash there as well. Then off to Miami with Lionel Messi and Inter Miami CF for our Mastermind Game Day experience plus car wash. Across the pond to our London private members only Investor Mastermind plus car wash there as well. And then rounding out the month in Breckenridge, Colorado with the PGA Pro, Virgil Herring, Hall of Famer Marshall Falk, Justin Guarini, the Broadway star, Kim Walsh-Phillips, our LinkedIn cash flow expert, and so many more, adding on a car wash there in Breckenridge as well. For everybody that would like these invitations but not obligations and be reminded on where we're going to be, all you need to do is text us at area code 949. Next 3 digits are 298. Last 4 digits are 2905. Of course, we will be back this Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern time for another edition of David's Free Friday trainings, which he's been doing for over 28 years. But in the meantime, have an incredible rest of your Wednesday, everybody. And as David always says, be more interested than interesting, and be kind. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Gigi, hit it and close.
Hey! Hey! Oh, hey! Wanna know where David's gonna be? Get invites, updates, and community. When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing. Just text the number, let your phone ring, 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 ring. 949-290-2905. That's
They discovered it, they read it, and they applied it. It's the golden thread that connects the titans of the self-development industry, the source that spawned millions of millionaires, the original blueprint to success.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. A classic. And I love Think and Grow Rich. I love it. It's right here. I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
This material is what changed my life. This is the material I study every day. From being an immigrant woman, coming from poverty, and really coming to America and literally achieving the American dream. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this man, for what he did for me and my family.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
People don't realize is that when we let our ego get in our way, ego is the loss, the fear of loss. So need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be hurt, fearful. When that trajectory changes, what happens is you continually go the wrong way. So my job as a coach is to say, let's get into the enjoyment of the direct pursuit of my potential. Right? And so when the light went on, it was not about the potential of making money and being an entrepreneur, which is one of my specialties. And I said to him, look, this is an opportunity now to show how great you really are. We can't let the outside voices, right, determine our success. The happiness that we have comes within. Why are you going to give that control to somebody else?
Thoughts become things. And I always wonder, why did no one teach us this? Why did we not learn this in school? Why did we not learn this from our families? If you make your study a priority, your life will change.
And I came up with 4 really valuable things that I took stock in. And the first one was gratitude. Simple gratitude. Although I grew up with nothing, I was always grateful. Throughout the whole process of consistently, persistently pursuing my potential, I was grateful. It made my past better, my present brighter, and my future even brighter than that. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, change your employee's life, your family life, it's very simple. 2 words, say thank you.